Hello friend, it's Tonton, and in today's video we're gonna update the guide on the stats, on the percentages, how the game is coming up with what you see on the right of the screen. How do you get to 3000%? Why do you have only 1.6k on the left for Lancer defense and all of that. And as well, I kind of understand a bit better now. I think our stats are working, so I will give you an update on what are my suggestions when it comes to increasing stats. And I think a lot of guides and advice in the past have been wrong, based on partial testing and lack of mass understanding of the game or it works in the game. I'm not sure we can be confident 100% that we understand absolutely everything, but I think it's getting quite close to that. And that's a big thanks to the guys from the Wosner Discords when it comes to that, understanding the formula for fights, for damage, and all of that. But I won't dive into like big details and precise math today, but I'll update my guidance and my suggestion to increase stats. So we will review the document that I've made a while back. I have updated it, but we'll just cover stats one by one, cover what's multiplicative, what's additive. Why is it really important to understand? An additive stats, if I have 2000% of attack, for example, if I have a source that gives me 10% of attack, if it's additive, it gives me simply 2010%, and if it's multiplicative, it gives me 2200%. So that's a difference of 180 stats. So that's really important to understand what is additive, what is multiplicative, because when you increase your stats, then you can make decision based on that, and you can of course get the more sources of multiplicative stats when that's possible. So let's go into it one by one. First of all, we'll talk about heroes. So the heroes, you have the hero stars here, right here. And that gives you a plus, and that's based on your generation. So the newer, the newer generation are giving more stats than the older one. That's one of the reasons they are better. These are additive, and you can follow on the left here. We are row 2, and we're gonna go down one by one. So these are additive. That's a big source of your attack and defense. Your heroes are really important. Then you have your hero gear. Here you have that part, and you have these. All of that is additive. Today we talk about expedition. We don't talk about exploration, which is arena and exploration. We don't talk about that. These, it's a lot harder to test, and it's a lot less, I guess, important. So we'll talk about expeditions, or rally, garrisoning, attacking a city, fighting on the battlefield, that kind of stuff. So we talk about that. So we don't care about the escort stuff. We don't care about the exploration here. We just talk about the expedition. So you get some percentage. Of course, these are additive. If they were multiplicative, you imagine if it was more than doubling your amount of lethality, it would be crazy insane. We would have 10, 20, 100,000 percentage of stats when we just have a few thousand in the best case. So that's all additive. Then something interesting, we have the widget. So the widget is in two parts. Either that part, that your infantry widget is giving you infantry health and lethality. Your marksman widget is giving you marksman health and lethality. That part is additive. The part that is really interesting for Wells about widget is the part that is multiplicative and is right here. So maybe let me just cut the webcam for a sec. In this one, you see it's increased by 7.5%, and that goes up to 15. It starts at 5 for level 2 widgets, and it's 15% level 10 widget, so it's an increase by 2.5% per level. That's multiplicative. So that's the first stat we see today that's multiplicative. That's why your whales and your rally leader, they want to have widgets level 10. That's also why this stat is working either on defense or on offense. So either in garrisoning situation or offensive rally. So here it's clearly defense. So that will only be, if you rally bear, that does not work, for example. This widget will not work. So you need the right hero in the right situation, offense or defense. That's why often it's not the same. It's because that's multiplicative. So currently our whales tend to have over 2000%, sometimes over 3000% of defense. So that will be, 300%, 450% more defense. So that's significative. That's really important. And you see that even the widget max is giving a very good amount. It's like 200 nearly percentage of health and lethality. So that's insane for a Gen 8 widget. So that's one other thing we talk about. And that's the first multiplicative one. That's really cool. Then with heroes, you have two exceptions to it. You have Natalia and Geronimo, which have these skills respectively. So you have the Ursus Strength, that the bear, and you have the sword of Geronimo, natural leader. These are worded like if they are multiplicative, so they are not plus 6% in my case, they are by 6%, but they are additive. They are not multiplicative. That have been tested by me, by many other people. All of the stats I've double checked myself by now. Like all the stats in the spreadsheet, I've made some tests to double check that it is accurate, and I'll show you. You have a tab that's called verification in the spreadsheet, which it was, back in July when I've done that. But I look at the report and I got the stats from the report, and then I calculated myself, what we see right now. I'm just calculated everything myself, and it matched the report. So that was like the final check, but everything was tested individually as well. So that's where we are. So that's, these are additive, even if they are worded like multiplicative. When it's by a percentage, it's often multiplicative, but we had a few occasions in the game where that's not, so we need to always double check and test. But that's additive. So that's it for heroes. Then if we go on your chief gear and chief charmed, all of these are additive. So you have the chief gear here, and you have the chief charm here, and that's 100% additive. There is no doubt about that. So, it's not doubling the amount you have or anything like that. It's just if you had 1,000 of lethality for marksman, I'll have 1,105. That's just the way it works. So that's very simple. Then one of the next source is research, which is, all of it here, all in the War Academy. All of that is 100% additive as well. No problem with that. It's never multiplicative, whichever you look at, whether you look at the one that are for all troops or whether you are looking at the one that's buffing only one troop, they are all additive, and same with the War Academy. You have stats from your VIP level, starting from VIP 9. So, you start with 10% defense, then 12% defense and attack, and everything. That's additive as well. So that's all clear, all simple. You see it's a plus 16%, so that's very clear as well in the wording. Then you start to have your alliance tech and your facilities and your alliance territory. All of that as well additive, no problem with that. If you are within, a flag of your alliance, you have 10% defense and 10% attack. That's as well additive. So that's, and you have the facilities as well, which I did not show you, but these ones. So all these facilities are additive, which is the same, for research and building, but that's a separate topic. We talk about fighting today, but all of that are additive. Then we have the island, which is the same island. All the sources are additive. So if you look at the tree, for example, and the buildings, all of these are always additive. You can have a recap of your stats, and you see, where it's coming from. All of these, and that's all of it is additive. So you get a lot of different ones. There is like your troop applies to all troops, and marksmen or whatever troop specific apply to only that. But that's one of the one I wanted to see before we move to pets is the city skins, and all the skins actually you can get. So you have city, marching is additive too. You have the portrait nowadays, you have the teleport, you have the private chat, you have the nameplates, the chief name card, these ones. Again, all of these are additive. Nothing is multiplicative. So they cost a lot to get, and they are just adding a tiny bit. Of course, for a rally leader, it's important to stack up every sources you can, but as a free-to-play, you are a low spender, you're not going to get a lot of value from that directly. You really won't. That's 2% attack on some of these. That's super small, right? It does not gonna change anything really to get that. So do not go for these for stats. Never go for these for stats. It's not worth it. Go for the skin if you like it, and that's gonna be good enough. Let's talk about pet. It's gonna be quite interesting. We have 3 sources of stat on pets. So you have the stats when you level them up. Troop attack, troop defense. So every time you level them up, they gain a bit. When you do every 10 level, when you use the books and the serums and the potions and stuff, they gain a bit more. Then you have the refining as well, and all of that is additive. They are not multiplicative. The part that is multiplicative is actually the skill that is temporary, so this one, and you see it's by 8%. So all of these are multiplicative. That's why when you start to have a few pets, 4, 5, 6 pets, you can be beaten by a rally, by a player that has pets when you don't have them, when you are far stronger than them. It's because that's, this one could be 10% lethality. There is one that's reducing health, then you have that one augmenting attack, you have the other one boosting your troop defense. This one is boosting your troop health. So you get, all your troops are boosted for health, defense, attack, lethality. Then we start to have pets that are reducing the opponent's stats. So now we have the reduced defense, and we've seen like images and videos from the Chinese state that have the Polar level 8 pet already, and it's reducing attack, like the buff we will see in a sec. So you have buffs and you have debuffs. So this one is reducing enemy lethality by 5 and health lethality by 5 for the Titan's Rock, right? So overall, a lot of reduction for your opponent and a lot of buff for yourself, and all of that is multiplicative. So even your opponent's reduction is multiplicative. So having pets to max level is really, really important for rally leaders, because that's a lot of stats. And again, later in the game, pets are so important. For us, we always need rally leader with pets. That's just the way it works. And we do rotation, and based on our opponent's strengths and who is using pets in the opponents, we do rotation for like 5-6 hour the world event. That's just the way it is. Then when we talk about the buff, all of these are multiplicative, either the 10 or the 20%. So that's another way that whales are scaling up more than you, is because they have widgets, it's because they have better pets, and it's because they have these. These go to up to 20%. Pets go up to 10%. Widget go up to 15%. So that's 45% more. So when a whale is fully buffed with pets, with buff, and with max widget in a situation when they are used, so either rally offensively or rally defensively or garrisoning, they have, for each 10 point of lethality they increase, through charms, whatever, they actually got 14.5 point at the end of the day. So it's nearly 50% more. It's 45% more. So that's really cool for Wedge, and that's kind of why they are scaling up a lot more. That's also why you might want to give buff to people that have a good amount of troop deployment capacity, and for this one from the fortress, people that have good health and good lethality, because if you have very little percentage, because it's multiplicative, it's going to multiply a low number and it's not going to give you that much. So they are a lot more, they are in better use with stronger player. Then if we talk about the ministry titles, all of these are additive. So the 8% attack or the lethality here. You have, when you are Supreme President, you have a buff that you can use for the stat that's actually give, let's see if we can see it. Yeah, troop lethality, that's as well additive. So all of these was tested, so that's, all okay. All of these are additive, so no big surprise. They are not huge. Some people are going crazy. I've seen people going mad, actually, when, it's after Sunfire Castle battle and the opponent is taking the buff, and they are using the buff to attack us. Like, these buffs do nothing. When you have 2000% lethality, it's not the 10% you get from the buff is gonna do nothing. It's not gonna allow a whale to zero someone that they would not be allowed to. Like, these are, you should not really worry too much about that. It's good to have them when you are killing beasts and stuff, when you are registering for High Alliance Championship and all of that, but it's not gonna make a big difference. When you do Tyrant, which we will have soon, the Tyrant have as well buff they can use that are as well additive. So you can stack buff eventually. You can have the Sunfire Castle buff plus the Tyrant buff, and you can have two buffs, but they're additive. So, of course it's helping, right? I'm not gonna say it's not gonna help. We've seen it in Tundra Arm leagues, like Alliance with buff, it was really helpful for them, but it's often rarely game breaking, unless you are very close and that the little edge you need, but that's not often game breaking. And something we did not talk about yet is the domains from the globe skin, which is new. So when you have a globe skin in your alliance, you see they have a domain around it. You can see it here, bonus domain, and it's giving attack, defense, training speed, resource speed. All of that is additive. The higher the frost protection is, so the level of the globe, so level 1 to 6, the higher are these percentages, and you just add the same amount every time. It's another level. So globe 2 is 10, 10, force 10, for example, something like that. So that's very simple. About a Tyrant and events. When you have the Tyrant event, or in the battlefield, you have turrets that give 50% attack, defense, or health and lethality. And these buffs are actually multiplicative. But they are only for the battle. Turrets are, you get them 30 minutes every hour in the battle. So Tyrant is, Gen 5, 6, I guess. Now we've seen people with Gen 6 getting it, 6 or 7. so it's quite later for many viewers. But when you get it, that's that multiplicative. That's why it's really important to control the battlefield. If you want to get the middle in Tyrant, you will need to get some turrets. And if you stack, for example, I've seen alliances stack defense and health, and then they will use defensive heroes with defense and health widgets. Then they get crazy amount, because that's they have they have big multipliers. It's basically doubling the amount of health they because you get again 20% from the buff, 15 from the widget, 10 from pets, plus 50 from the turret, so that's 95%, so it's nearly doubling the amount they have. So if someone that had 2%, 200% lethality or health, whatever, that's going to be 4,000, right? So that's really insane. And in Tyrant as well, you have some buff you can activate that you call, kill patrols, you collect mines and stuff, and you can activate buff. And these are also multiplicative. So Tyrant's numbers are getting crazy on the battlefield. This cannot be used outside of the battlefield, so you cannot be burned because of that. There is no, don't be scared by it. It's just like the battle make these buffs and turrets very important part of the gameplay mechanic. Something else we need to talk about now is the experts, which is a new addition to the game, which is, a few months old. Experts are, basically they are additive. So when you look at Romulus, the wording on Romulus used to be confusing because it was by a percentage. So we were thinking it's going to be multiplicative, and we were super excited about it. Me the first, and Wells were like so cool. And we tested it. It's additive. We asked customer support community manager. They say it's additive. It's working as intended. And then they fix the wording to stop being confusing. So these are giving you very, very low amount of stats because that's 10% additive. So if you have 3,000%, it's going to be 3,010. So yeah. So Romulus is mostly cared for by many spenders just for the rally capacity and the troops capacity deployment for yourself. But for the biggest of the biggest spender, of course, they will get these stats as well. But these are super expensive for what they are because they are additive. So pets, you get a lot more value from pets, for example. After the first few level of Romulus, the first few level are not that expensive, but Romulus maxing him out is super expensive. The only one that are multiplicative, and we are sure 99%, is these ones, but they are buffing Arena. So now they changed them a bit. So now the one on the left is boosting escort and attack health, and attack and health, right? And the one on the right is boosting heroes attack and health. So this one is probably more interesting to level up. Now, I don't know when they changed that. It used to be a weird wording and it was heroes on both sides. Now there is one for escort, one for heroes. And I will assume that heroes did the best, but that's very, very, very likely multiplicative. But it's Arena, we don't really care about it. For most of us, it's good to have a few like me. It's you can max Soldier quite easily actually if you just buy, it's another story, but if you just buy that pack, the $5 one, you can max, get close to where I am quite easily, and that's really a lot of value. There is two things we did not talk about. There is the Frostfire Mine. In Frostfire Mine, the left skill, the last one, the level 5 skill, is 50% lethality, which is multiplicative as well. So that's a battlefield for Frostfire Mine skill, so it's multiplicative. So if you had 2,000, you will get 3. So the way to use it if you want to get to middle, if you have the stronger player inside middle that activated it, scout him, he has it active, you will see he has so much lethality, far more than what is reasonable. Wait, I think it's active for a minute or two. Wait for the cooldown to, for the buff to fade, and just send your marches, and then maybe you have a chance to get it if you are close enough to the guy in the middle. If you are, if you have the buff active, because that's really gonna boost your lethality. Something to consider when it's a flat buff like lethality like that on, Frostfire Mine or on widgets. That's something that's well stressed out to me once, and I think that's a fair point to mention. That's all troops. So that's buffing lethality on marksmen and lancers, right? So that's pretty cool. So that's 15% on lancers, 15% on marksmen. So these are kind of a compounding as well on multiple troops. These are only for lancers, so the widget here, but these apply to all troops. And again, that's in front of my face, so I mean that one, right? The one at the bottom. The last part that is really important. When we list, I'll talk about stat after. There will be another part of the video. It's hero skills. So if we took our friend Patrick, you see it's written health up. Oh, again, it's written health up 25%. These have been tested extensively. I believe they are, I mean, from the test, they are multiplicative. The only thing is that you do not see them in reports. So the way it works in reports, you have the stats here, stat bonuses, and here you have a little exclamation mark. And when you look at the exclamation marks, you have the stats that are actually multiplicative. So at the top is the buff. So these are the buffs. You see they are fully buffed on both sides. So attack, attack, defense, defense, lethality, blah, blah, blah. Then you have the widget. The defender, troops, defense, the defender, troops, lethality, the rally, troops, attack. These are the widgets. So you can see on defense, they had one defense, percentage of defense, 15%, percentage of lethality, 15% active. And for us, offensively, we have two 15% attack. So they stack. You can have 45% eventually here. You can start the stat you want with the heroes you have. So that's why it's really important. Then you can see the pets. So you can see that they had pets and we did not have pets. So that could explain the outcome. You see that's a lot of stats as well. So that's how you see the multiplicative bonus. Heroes, you do not see them anywhere. They are not modifying these stats. So if you accumulate all my stats, for example, or all the stats of that player, you will come to that. Sorry for that. If you join with Patrick, the rally report is not gonna have health up 25%. You're not gonna see 25% more health here. You're not gonna see it. That's just the way it works. So we don't really know. I mean, people kind of tested water with like they made some tests. They have some formulas from other games they tested, and it seems to work on Whiteout Survival. So while we have a good idea about how it works, it's not shown. The game do not show you. The only way to know what were the rally joiner is in the report. And during a live attack, you are able to see which skills are being selected. Else, it's the top 4 joiners. So here you can see we had one JC, one JC, one Renee, one JC. And these were very likely the top 4 that were buffing Webster. So that's, 3 JC, so that's damage up 75%. And then that's what's Renee, that's buffing Lancers. And that's the same with the defense. If you go here and if you want to know what were the heroes buffing, that's the top 4. So it was one Patrick, one Bokan, one Patrick, one Patrick. So they had 4 Patrick, 3 Patricks, one Bokan. One way you can see what's going on, if you click on the rally, and if you click on the rally, you click on the little flag, and you can see, I'll remove myself again. You can see the skill being shared. So that's Gatot, 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 and that's Bradley, right? So that's the skill being shared. So to how do you know if the reports are accurate? Like I just said, you take a screenshot of that and you check if the 4 top joiner were these people. So that's, Paola, Sato, and these are people I don't recognize easily. So you can double check like that, and that's how we know they are the top 4. And if you are defending a rally and you want to see who is being shared, and if you need to kick someone because they are sharing the wrong heroes, and you check here and you have the name or the photo of the person, and then you kick them if they have. You ask for Patrick and they are having, a JC, then you can know who to kick, and you can see who is replacing them, and you hopefully get the right skill. So that's how you can go through people in Garrison to get the right skill. That's really, really, really important. So let's talk about stats now. For a long time, you have seen on YouTube, even on my channel as well, people said, lethality is better than attack, health is better than defense. So you should focus on, health and lethality. That's true to some extent. The way it works, to my understanding, and I'm not like a great mathematician, so I reviewed people's conclusion of their own math. I asked ChatGPT to explain the math formula and to come down with a summary. I've talked to people that understand the math better than I do. And the TLDR is both stats are important. If you have just lethality and health, it's going to not be good if you really forget. I don't know, like let's say you go to an extreme, right? You don't touch any research on attack and defense. You just do lethality and health. You're like, I'm going to min-max the half out of the game. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to just optimize for the best stats. That does not work. So if you have a lot of defense, more health will be better. So, your heroes are giving you a lot of health, defense and attack, your chief gear as well. So you have very easy source of attack and defense. And then when you have that solid, like increasing health percentage defensively is a lot better, offensively is a lot better as well. So there is kind of a synergy with the mathematical formula for that. But you will want a certain amount of attack and defense. So, overall, a balance is very welcome. So, especially with research and things like that, but that's true for Charm, that's true for Chief Gear, that's true for Hero Gear. Like the first levels, they are giving you often a lot of stats for the time they take to research. And if you think about a 6-level research, like the last few percentage, even if they are big, because it took you 5 upgrades to get to 28, and it's more or less 27.5, and the last upgrade is 9%, but that's gonna take you 30 days. When the first 9% of that research might have taken you 5 days or something like that. So the first percentage are a lot easier to get. So what that means is you will be a lot more efficient with your stats and your real power if you do a bit of all the research, and when you do like the advance and you use a lot of speed up, maybe you do health and lethality. But you don't want to skip defense, you don't want to skip attack, you're gonna hurt yourself. Where it starts to matter is when you look at troop by troop. And that's why you see nuances. What matters more for infantry is defense and health. So that's true. So in your research, in your hero gear, you can choose. You see, like I'm not gonna do infantry lethality before I'm doing something else. I'm not gonna do marksman defense before I do something else, right? Because that's the worst stats for marksman is defense. So I'm not gonna focus on that, right? But that's all I have left anyway. It's all bad ones, It's like health or lethality. It's health or defense for my lancers and marksmen, and it's lethality or attack for infantry. So I don't have a good choice to show you at that point. But you do a bit of everything. You do 1, 2, 3, 4 levels on everything, and then sometimes you push to level 5 on the other one on health and lethality a bit further. Except for infantry, you will skip a bit more attack and defense. For marksman, I think it's still worth to do both of them. Even if you probably care about more damage, so attack and lethality, I think defense and health is quite important on marksmen and on lancers, sorry. And on marksmen, your marksmen, if you don't have any lancers, any infantry, they're gonna die in a sec, right? Marksman's gonna die. So you can focus a lot more on attack and lethality on marksmen, like you focus on defense and health on infantry. That's fair. That's really fair. And then you need to think about, are you a 60-40 rally leader? Or are you a 50-0-50 rally leader with Mia, or 60-40 with Greg, for example, even in earlier generation, which is quite popular at the time. And then you might be able to have some rally leaders in your alliance going infantry lancers for 60-40, and you might have offensive rally leader going infantry marksmen for 50-0-50 with Mia. And the great thing is, like, really, you can use that Gen 1 or 2 for 60-40, but 50-0-50, you can use Gen 3 with Mia. She's amazing for that, and you have other videos, for myself and other content creators to explain how. That's really amazing, because that scales with all troops. You don't need lancers. And Gen 3, 60-40 become really good because Greg is scaling very, very well. Extra health, damage takedown, and damage up, right? So it's doing more damage for your lancers and less damage and more health. So health, like when you have 60-40, like, your infantry tanks, but your lancers are tanking as well. So that's really, really scaling crazily. So these are very, very good. Gen 3 is a very, very good generation to swap to 60-40 and 50-0-50. And, having people a bit more specialized, because at that stage, it's really hard to do everything. So that, when you look at, in general, you will want all the stats. And when you look at the troops, you will want to focus on which one matter the most. So again, defense, health for infantry, lethality, attack for marksmen, and lancers, bit of both of all of the 4 stats, and maybe a bit more offense if you care to be a bit more offensive. But that's kind of it for the stats, for what I wanted to show you. I'll link in the description the Google Sheet that's on the left. If the video become outdated somehow because they have experts and stuff like that, the Google Sheet and the Discord will stay updated. So I'm gonna add some lines. If we somehow come to new knowledge about any of that, I'll update it as well. And, from time to time, I'll re-record the video. It was really important to me to re-record that video. I've made it back in June, which is not too far ago, but it was before I got auto-translation by AI. So while it was a very important video that, got a lot of views, everyone in the world could not listen to it. So now I have auto-translation by AI unlocked since July, I think, or August. So that could be auto-translated in 21 languages. So many more people will be able to enjoy it and to increase their knowledge of the game. So again, it was really important for me to re-record it. That's really important. You will find other content and other places with that kind of information, but they are not as complete as the Google Sheet and this video. Unless someone updated it and I did not, find it yet. But when I look back in July already, when I've done that work, it was the most complete work out there that I could find. That's why I had to do quite a bit myself. But I'm building up on Woz Nerds and on Chill Gaming that did a very good job in collecting most of it, doing some of the tests. Maybe something before I go. It has been said in the past, and you see that's what there are these two columns, that permanent mean additive, temporary mean multiplicative, which is true 99% of the time, except for widgets, right? The only exception is widgets. They are temporary in the sense that your widget's gonna expire eventually. They have a condition that they work only in offense or defensive rally, that does not work in solo march. So they have conditions, so they are not like permanent. Let's say permanent with conditions. Let's say it like that. But they are permanent, right? You never lose them. It's just that if you change the rows, you have to get new widgets. So that's not as simple as temporary equal multiplicative and permanent equal additive. It's nearly there. It's really nearly there. It's a shortcut, but that's close enough if you need to remember it that way, if it make it easier for you, except widget. But that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Consider joining the Discord. Consider subscribing. Thank you very much for being part of that community. It really makes the channel amazing. Really makes, everything for me cool to do. Like, it's a lot of work. Since Saturday, I've been spending all day doing YouTube. It's for 2 p.m. I've just been recording for the French, updating guides, updating Google Sheets, working on on my streaming setup, But that's enjoyable because of you guys, because of everyone coming and chatting and encouraging and say thank you. You can't imagine the amount of time there are people just added me as a friend or just say thank you, and that's really cool. So thank you very much for that, and I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Much love to you all. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.